The most painful thing isn't failing. It's watching everyone else move forward while you're still trying to figure out where to start. At some point, many people start to feel like they are falling behind. Behind their friends, behind their coworkers, behind some invisible schedule that life seems to expect them to follow. They watch other people hit milestone after milestone, new jobs, new homes, weddings, babies, and slowly, without even noticing it, they start to compare. For Tyler, this feeling didn't arrive all at once. It crept in slowly, through photos of old classmates, through awkward dinner conversations, through one simple question that always seemed to come up. So, what have you been up to lately? And somewhere between all those small moments, Tyler believed he had fallen behind in life. Until one stranger in a cafe asked him a question that changed everything he thought he knew about falling behind. Tyler didn't always think about timelines. There was a time when life felt open and unhurried. Back then, the future wasn't something to stress about. It was something to look forward to. But over the years, that slowly changed. Not in a big dramatic way, just quietly, gradually. One evening, Tyler was sitting on the couch scrolling through his phone. A photo appeared. An old college friend standing in front of a brand new house, holding up a set of keys and smiling wide. "Finally homeowners," the caption read. Tyler stopped for a second. He tapped the like button and kept scrolling. Another photo, a wedding, white dress, golden sunset, a crowd of happy faces, another milestone, another life moving forward. So Tyler told himself it didn't bother him. But the thought stayed. A few days later at work, the office felt a little different. A coworker had just been promoted. People were crowding around to congratulate her, talking about the new role, the new responsibilities, the exciting next step. Tyler walked past and smiled. "Congrats," he said. He meant it. But when he sat back down at his own desk, something felt off. Not jealousy exactly, something quieter, something heavier, a question. What am I doing with my life? That question started showing up more and more. At family dinners, in conversations with old friends, in quiet moments when he was alone. Bit by bit, and Tyler started noticing something he had never paid attention to before. Everyone around him seemed to be moving forward. Careers were growing, families were forming, and dreams were becoming real plans. And Tyler felt like he was standing still. The strange thing was, his life wasn't bad. He had a steady job, a small apartment, a routine that worked fine. But the more he looked around, the more it felt like everyone else had already started the next chapter of their story. And somehow, without realizing it, he had missed where that chapter began. The feeling didn't hit him all at once. It built up slowly, like a thought that just wouldn't go away. It followed Tyler into everyday moments. One evening, he met some old friends for dinner, the kind of gathering that used to feel easy and relaxed, laughing about old memories, catching up on nothing important. But this time felt different. The conversations had shifted. One friend talked about the house he had just bought. Another talked about late nights with a newborn baby. Someone else mentioned a big promotion that meant moving to a new city. The table was full of energy, plans, progress, everyone going somewhere. Tyler smiled and nodded along. He asked questions. He congratulated people. He was happy for them. But when someone turned to him and asked the question he always dreaded, "So, Tyler, what's new with you?" He paused, not because he had nothing to say, but because nothing he could say felt like the kind of answer people were expecting. "Work's been busy," he said after a moment. The table moved on. And Tyler sat quietly in the middle of all that noise, surrounded by people he had known for years, feeling completely alone. One evening, Tyler sat on the floor of his apartment. One lamp, long shadows on the walls, and the room felt smaller than usual. He picked up his phone, another friend's wedding photos, another promotion announcement, another life moving forward. He put the phone down, hard. The screen didn't break, but something inside him felt like it had. He leaned back against the couch, pulled his knees to his chest, and just sat there. The fridge hummed. Traffic moved outside. And then the thoughts came, the ones he had been pushing away for months. Everyone else is ahead. I can't catch up. I was never going to catch up. His chest felt tight. His throat ached. He thought about all the plans he had once made, the dreams he had carried quietly for years, the ideas, the goals, the things he always said he would get to someday. Someday. But someday had never come. For the first time, Tyler let himself cry, quietly, alone, in the dark. Oh, not out of anger, not out of jealousy, out of exhaustion. He was tired of comparing himself to everyone else, tired of feeling like he was losing a race he never signed up for, tired of never feeling like enough. He felt completely broken, not forever, but in that moment, fully and honestly broken. It was a heavy kind of darkness, the kind that whispers that everyone else has already won, that the gap is too wide, that you are never going to catch up, that no matter what you do, it will never be enough, that everyone else figured it out and you didn't. But even underneath all of that weight, something small and quiet stirred. A single question, barely a whisper. What if the race I've been losing doesn't actually exist? Tyler hadn't planned on sitting near anyone. He chose the back corner of the cafe on purpose, away from the window, away from the noise, away from people. He just needed somewhere quiet to exist for a while. But the cafe was full that morning. He set his coffee down, pulled out the chair, and noticed the sketchbook. The woman beside him was older, maybe 70, maybe more. Silver hair cut short, paint stains on her sleeves, a pencil moving slowly across the page. She was drawing the people in the cafe, not the window, not the furniture, not some carefully arranged still life. The people, a man reading a newspaper in the corner, two women laughing over coffee by the door, a teenager slumped in a chair, staring at a phone, each one captured in just a few quiet lines. Simple, honest, alive. Tyler watched without meaning to. Then he noticed something. Every person in her sketchbook looked completely different from one another. At different ages, different postures, different expressions. No two drawings looked anything alike. He looked at the sketchbook, then at the people in the cafe, then back at the sketchbook, and something about the way she saw them, each one separate, each one complete on their own, made a question rise up from somewhere deep in his chest. He almost didn't say it out loud, but he did. "Excuse me," he said quietly. She looked up. "How do you stop comparing yourself to everyone else?" He hadn't planned to say it like that, so directly, so plainly. But there it was. The woman held his gaze for a moment, not surprised, not uncomfortable, just present. She set her pencil down. "What does the comparison feel like?" she asked. Tyler looked down at his coffee cup. "Like everyone around me is moving forward," he said. "Building things, achieving things, and I'm just watching." He paused. "Like they all know something I don't." The woman nodded slowly. Not sympathetically, not the way people nod when they're waiting for you to finish. She nodded like someone who understood exactly what he meant and didn't need it, explained further. Then she turned her sketchbook around and placed it flat on the table between them. "Pick two," she said. "Any two people in there. Tell me which one is ahead." Tyler looked down at the page. The man with the newspaper, the teenager with the phone, the two women laughing by the door. He studied them carefully. Really carefully. The silence stretched out between them, unhurried, unforced. "I can't," he said finally. "They're just people. Living their lives." "Exactly," she said. She turned the sketchbook back around slowly. "I've been drawing people for over 30 years, she said. "In parks, in airports, in cafes like this one. And in all that time, I have never once been able to draw one person ahead of another." She let that land before continuing. "Because people don't move in the same direction. They don't run the same race. They don't follow the same road. The reason you feel behind," she said, "is because you've been comparing your insides to other people's outsides." She said it simply. No drama, no lecture. You see their highlight. They don't see yours. And somewhere along the way, you decided that was proof they were winning and you were not. Tyler felt something shift quietly in his chest. Not loudly, not all at once. Just shift. "But they seem so certain," he said, "and like they know exactly where they're going." The woman gave a small, dry smile. "Most of them don't," she said. "I've drawn enough faces to know the difference between someone who has it figured out and someone who has simply learned to look like they do." She held his gaze for just a moment longer. The ones who seem furthest ahead are usually just the ones who stopped looking sideways. Tyler sat with that. Really sat with it. Then he asked the last question, the one underneath all the others. "So how do I stop?" The woman didn't answer right away. She set her pencil down, reached to the edge of her sketchbook page, and tore off a small, clean strip of blank paper. She slid it slowly across the table toward him. "Blank," she said. Tyler looked at it. Not empty. He frowned slightly. "Oh, most people think those mean the same thing," she said quietly. "But blank means the story hasn't been written yet." She picked her pencil back up. "And you can't write your own story," she said, "while you're too busy reading everyone else's." Then she went back to drawing. No ceremony, no conclusion, no waiting for a response. Just the soft scratch of pencil on paper. Tyler sat quietly. He looked at the small strip of white paper in his hands. Blank, not empty. Outside, the city moved the way it always did. But inside that corner of the cafe, something had changed. Not dramatically, not all at once, just quietly. The same way it had all begun. Tyler walked out of the cafe holding the small square of paper. He didn't put it in his pocket right away. He just held it. The city was doing what cities always do. Moving. Loud. The unbothered. A man in a suit walked past. Phone pressed to his ear, already somewhere else in his mind. A group of teenagers crossed the street laughing at something none of them would probably remember tomorrow. Someone nearby was arguing on a call. Frustrated, tired, trying to be heard. Tyler watched them. And for the first time in longer than he could remember, he didn't compare himself to any of them. Not once. No quiet calculation, no instinct to measure, no voice asking where they were in life versus where he was. They were just people, moving through their own stories, stories he knew nothing about, stories that had nothing to do with his. He thought about all the hours he had spent scrolling, all the promotions and weddings and houses and announcements. All the times he had looked at someone else's highlight and used it as evidence that he was falling behind. What a strange and exhausting way to live. He had been standing in a race that nobody had actually entered, running a course that nobody had actually marked out, losing a competition that nobody had actually agreed to. And the whole time, the people he was measuring himself against were probably doing the exact same thing. Scrolling through someone else's life, quietly calculating, quietly falling behind their own invisible timeline. Nobody winning, everybody measuring. Tyler folded the small piece of paper once, slowly, carefully, and placed it in his chest pocket. He took one step forward, then another. The morning sun was warm on his face, his own footsteps steady on the pavement. Somewhere nearby, a cafe door opened, and the smell of fresh coffee drifted out into the street. Small things, ordinary things. But for the first time in a long time, he noticed them without immediately thinking about who else was noticing the same things. Without wondering if their morning was better than his, without measuring, just noticing. The chapter hadn't been late. The story hadn't been wrong. He had simply been reading everyone else's pages instead of writing his own. And now, not with certainty, not with a plan, not with a sudden surge of confidence, he was ready to pick up the pen. You're not behind in life. You're just in a chapter that hasn't made sense yet. And maybe someone watching this needed to hear that today. And if you've ever felt like you were falling behind, tell me in the comments what chapter of life you're in right now. This is Tales by Cathie. And if stories like this speak to you, you're always welcome here.